Everybody feeling flat, tired and fat. Milo Janice is where it's at. Keeping trim, healthy and slim. With Milo Janice, you're in the swim. Your new life is waiting to begin at Milo Janice.
Welcome back, everybody, to Tippy-Tap 47.
I think so. 46,
I think
47.
I'm on the ball this time.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I really like the music we opened up with. Turns out our guest didn't like the music I opened up with. But if you are feeling fat, there's probably a Planet Fitness nearby. And also, apparently, Walkable Cities is fatphobic.
Yeah, that's the last I heard, yeah.
Whatever day I learned. It wasn't a today I learned, because I learned that a couple days ago. But recently I learned.
But Griff, this isn't any ordinary Tippy-Tap.
This isn't.
This is another installment of our award-winning series, Coppin' a Feel.
This is extra special, though. This is a co-copping a feel. Because there's not one Frisker here. There's two Friskers. This is my guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there going to be any tension, do I have to break anything up?
We'll find out. I have never...
There's enough Columbo for everybody, first of all. Because you know what? You know how I made you into a Kojak fan?
Yes.
I think you've made me into a Columbo fan. I think I'm jumping on the bandwagon.
You're noticing some things, too. I can't wait to discuss them because you're like, is this always in Columbo? Like, I didn't even realize there is a soft background theme going on, like constant thing going on with Columbo. Right. So it's very...
Well, let's cut to the chase and introduce our guest. He, unfortunately, is living in that cultural hellhole we call Indiana. The state you have to be on drugs. This is what Evel Knievel told me.
This is what
you have to be on drugs in order to endure it.
I will accept that Jonathan Taylor is a great running back, though.
Okay.
Football talk. Always bet on Jonathan Taylor.
Fuck Larry Bird.
Oh,
but his heart and soul will always remain here in Michigan, where real Americans are from.
Yeah.
Good people.
A frequenter of the Somerset collection.
Yes, Mr. Matthew Socey. How are you, Matt?
The men of the hour, the men with the power, too sweet to be sour, the men's regret and a lady's pet built out of twisted steel and sex appeal. That's GGT. How you doing, guys?
Woo!
Well, I'm feeling a lot better. I just got a nice chug there, and after that, we got introduced at our own podcast.
I love it.
I like that, too. We should actually have our guests do that for us all the time.
Well, you know what? There's something very distinguishing about Matt.
Yeah.
I learned last week that he has listened to every single episode we've done, which is I don't think anybody has done that. Maybe Joe Corey, but Joe Corey is an old school fan of ours. Matt, you came to us because you're friends with Taffeta, used to come on our show.
That's
so
right.
You came to us about a couple years in, so that's pretty damn impressive that you went back. I'm sorry for some of the episodes, but
I'm sure you are, but that's okay. We all have those early episodes.
Yeah, they can't all be gold, you know.
Yeah.
No, it was because Taffy kind of turned me on to you guys, and then I think the very first one I heard was Enter the Ninja with everyone's favorite Italian ninja, Franco Nero, and then I would hear your new episode and then go back and forth. So, does this mean for my birthday you'll send me privately the Kinjite episode?
Oh,
do we still have it?
Yeah, it's still on this laptop here,
Okay.
Just sitting there with dust.
There you go. That will be your reward.
We'll actually
for
have
entertainment purposes only, not for any other.
We'll send it on a USB stick via Mattingly. Mattingly will come knock at your door and hand you the USB stick with Kinjite, the forbidden subject.
In the case.
In a case, yeah, it'll be glowing in gold. But
no, you guys have just been fun to listen to. I have a commute, and y'all keep me company when I have to commute to and from work. So,
nice.
Yeah, you keep me humble.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. It doesn't keep me company when I'm driving. It doesn't.
I've never heard my show.
Yeah,
so.
you've never listened to it.
You're not Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard, just listening to your own stuff.
No.
I hear it and I just go, God, why did I make that joke at that
That's
time?
exactly why I don't want to listen to it, Griff. I don't want to inhibit myself. I don't want to because there might be stuff that bothers me that the listeners like.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to just be
like all your peach slurping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, I get so many envelopes full of whispers from ladies because of my peach slurping.
That's right.
Are they careless?
All right.
Columbo.
We got to get to Columbo.
Well, first we got to get to.
Well, no, we're gonna ask.
Yes, we're going to ask Matt.
Columbo. Yeah.
Matt. Okay, we've done. As Griff alluded to, we did a Columbo episode before, so I kind of get the gist of what Columbo is about.
Yeah.
But I want to know, what is it about Columbo that resonates so much with you?
Well, a few things. First off, I remember seeing Columbo with my parents during the original run. So Griff, I saw him first.
Okay.
No, that's fine. But no, it was part of the NBC Tuesday Night Mystery Movie.
Yep.
And I think what intrigued me was the fact that here was a police officer who didn't use a gun or his fist.
No.
So kind of the anti Kojak, but there's they can both exist in the same universe. The fact that he is schlubby and looks like he's got he hasn't slept in 3 days and he's got stubble and a coffee and a cigar, and I'm like, so it's not just a human. He doesn't have the posture of Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
Like a lot of TV cops did in the 60s and 70s. And the fact that, we see how it's the narrative of, we see how it's done, and then you get to see how he gets caught. That just, I think, revolutionized television. I got to show this to my kid when they were younger, and they got hooked on it. And just Peter Falk says, if you look at Peter Falk's career, I know for a lot of people he's just Columbo and the grandpa from The Princess Bride.
Yep.
I mean, the guy's first 2 films, he got Academy Award nominations.
Yeah.
1961, 1962, Murder, Inc. and Pocketful of Miracles. During the original run of Columbo, which ran 8 years, he won 3 Emmys and was nominated every year. And then they had a reboot of it when I was in college, and he got nominated 3 more times and won 1. I mean, that's Tom Seaver's Steve Carlton acting dynasty level for Peter Falk. And I think I've said before, the last 5 minutes or 5-10 minutes of Columbo, I think, is one of the greatest pop culture things ever.
Oh,
just watching some D-bag get their just desserts.
Yeah, I love the wrap-ups for like every episode. Like some of the episode, I can think of the one where it's like maritime base and everything. I can't remember what it was. It was kind of obnoxious, but every time when they bring it home at the end there, it's always so satisfying.
There are sporting events where I was less verbal, and I'm watching this episode. I'm like, "Fuck you, Robert Culp! Your ass is going down." It goes down in spectacular fashion, like the episode we're going to be discussing today.
There's like a and Robert Culp calls him this devious, like almost a sadistic side to Columbo, in that he knows he's got the guy, but he toys with him.
He's a cat. He's
a cat. Guys all the time. I'd be watching with my kid, and they lean in and go, "Does he know yet?" I went, "Oh yeah." The minute he enters the crime scene, he knows who did it, and that's also a great example in this episode.
And there's even some episodes where he'll throw in the perp will be like, when did you figure out it was me? He's like, I noticed you were leaning your left leg over your right leg, and you're a righty, and it would be the other, like some weird shit.
I love those. And one of my favorites, again, if you guys decide to do another and I could be over here, one of my favorites involves your guys' favorite, Donald Pleasance.
Oh, yeah,
who has not one, but 2 Donald Pleasant meltdowns. There are major movies that don't even get 1 if they're lucky.
Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorites. I did not want to lead off with one of my favorite Columbo episodes for our Top in the Field, but there's so many good Columbo episodes, so I went with.
And there are some episodes like that one where Columbo likes the guy. He likes Johnny Cash. There are others, like the one with Leonard Nimoy is a favorite in my household, and this one where he just does not like the killer. Yeah,
it is kind of fun when he doesn't like the killer, just because it's like it's fun to see that contention, because Columbo is always so cool. We see it in this episode with Buddy when he's talking to him.
Yes.
Yeah, very short with him, and Buddy's throwing it right back at him, and very good. And it's so fun.
It's I think it's just fun acting, and so the fact that you get a TV star or a former movie star now doing television to bounce off of, like tennis.
Yeah,
so you bounce off somebody like a Jose Ferrer or a George Hamilton or a Shatner or Ruth Gordon or Lee Remick. It's a lot of fun, and he just looks great.
Oh, yeah. I love the disheveled look. It's perfect.
Here's the other thing for you trivia nerds out there. what does Columbo and another favorite of your guys's, Murder, She Wrote, have in common?
Oh my God, are we gonna have to have a crossover episode with you and Abra now?
Same writers, same creators.
Oh, yeah, of course. Peter, what is
Richard
it?
Levinson
Link
and
and
Lily
Rhett?
Wright. Yep.
Yeah. Because that was part of the Tuesday movie thing, right?
Not Murder, She Wrote. No, that was a
okay.
thing of its own. At the early stages of the NBC mystery movie, it was McCloud with Dennis Weaver, Macmillan and Wife with Rock Hudson and Susan St. James. They had other ones like Banachek with George Papard. I think Madigan was one. Cool Million was one. I believe Quincy started out as a later installment of the series.
Oh my God, we got to do the Quincy punk rock episode.
Yeah,
that's, by the way, vastly underrated episode of GGT. But in college, it was Columbo. It was one with Lou Gossett Jr. And then Burt Reynolds had one called B.L. Stryker, where he was a detective on a boat in Florida, because that's where Burt lived.
Right. Every Florida cop lived on a boat. Sonny
really.
Crockett.
Yeah, Sonny Crockett and Burt Reynolds. So top that, suckers.
I have a quick question. Since you actually got to enjoy Columbo throughout your childhood and everything, when it came back years later, because I've tried to watch the second running of Columbo a few times, and it just feels off. Are you into those still, or is it just kind of like, it's Columbo?
He's older. I mean, the fact you just put him out there, whether it's what sports analogy can I use? Not Willie Mays with the Mets. It wasn't bad, but
Jordan
Frank
with the Magic.
No.
No, he was with the Wizards, by the way.
He's old. No, it's not that bad. But when he's older, like Frank Robinson when he went to the Orioles, I think. But no, he was fine. I think the fact that the costumes Taffy would have a field day with, and the fact that this time around it would be people like Faye Dunaway. He takes down Fisher Stevens if you're in the Smarmy That Guys. The dude from Short Circuit and My Science Project.
Oh my. That brown-faced racist? Yeah, we remember.
Yeah, brown-faced racist. And, he dated Michelle Pfeiffer, so fuck that guy.
And then he cheated on her, too. This, schlubby dude.
Dumbass.
Michelle Pfeiffer. And you get cocky when you get a woman like that.
Oh, for sure.
You're like, I can get any woman.
And yet Mrs. Socey and I have been together 22 years. Anyway, but I mean, so I think the costumes might be a bit off. But there's still, I mean, he bounces off George Hamilton and Patrick McGoohan in the reboot. He's just a little older, a little slower, but just as cool.
Okay.
Yeah, they did that with. I felt the same way about Kojak. They brought him back in the late '80s.
Yeah, they did some movies, some actual movies.
Yeah,
standalones.
But his number 2 guy was Andre Brower, who's my second favorite cop, Frank Pembleton from Homicide. So that was kind of cool.
Nice. I just saw there was a Homicide Law and Order episode that I got to see a couple weeks ago. So.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because I Munch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who was the actor who played the great Houdini or whatever in the Columbo episode? Because
Jack Cassidy.
Yeah,
Jack Cassidy was one of the top smarmy assholes on Columbo.
Yes.
He was a killer 3 times.
It was 3. I thought it was twice.
No, Patrick McGoohan has the record. He did 4. He also directed a few episodes. I think Culp did 3. Jack Cassidy did 3. He was Sean Cassidy's dad and Shirley Jones's wife, her husband. So they were married for a while.
Did he die? He died smoking in bed or some weird thing?
Yeah,
like
he died with a ciggy in hand, and that was not good. So.
I mean, did the house burn? What do you mean he died with a
I
cigarette?
think he maybe he was
with a
drunk or
cigarette
something, and he was smoking. He fell asleep in bed with a cigarette, and he burned to death.
Oh, he did burn it down.
Yeah.
The other one for you literature nerds out there, if you know the Dostoevsky novel Crime and Punishment, there is an inspector who was apparently the inspiration for Columbo because he was engaging and friendly and he didn't seem like he was grilling you for the answers. And by the end of the interrogation, he got what he wanted.
Wow. That book's just sitting on my shelf waiting to be read.
It's a Columbo
ready to crack his spine.
Yeah. Well, I got through The Idiot and I was like, I'll try Crime and Punishment next, but...
There you go.
I bought my Philip K. Dick short story collection, and that took over.
But now you're enticed because Columbo connection.
There we go. And you know what? What better time than now to start this episode of Columbo? And
An exercise in fatality.
Get it?
Now, of course, every Columbo episode starts with one of those like, hey, everybody, this is why you need to stick around. And they give you like a little sizzle reel of the whole episode. We don't need to worry about that. We're just going to go right to it. Yep. And we have our secretary, Jessica, working at Janus Industries.
Milo Janus, the fitness guru.
Yeah.
Played by Robert Culp. Tiny little... Robert Conrad, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tiny little Robert Conrad.
Yep.
I mean, he had total, like, short man guy. Because he's a handsome, like, fit guy. I mean, but... Because he's probably, like, 5'6", 7", something like that. And it's like, that's not that bad, dude.
No.
But it affected him. You could tell it. Because I remember, I know you remember this, Matt. Battle of the Network Stars.
Oh, yes. That is probably... Okay, I hate to say this. I think that might be the apex of Battle of the Network Stars. And Battle of the Network Stars had the dunk tank.
Right.
Griff, look that up. You're welcome.
So, like, it would be like, if you ever heard of it, Griff, the Battle of the Network Stars?
I have.
Okay, so the ABC, NBC, this is back in the old days when there were 3 networks, and CBS, and they'd have captains. So Robert Conrad would be the captain, and he would take this shit seriously.
Oh, okay.
And then you'd have, like, Gabe... Yeah, you had Gabe Kaplan on another team. He wouldn't give a fuck at all. He'd be like, whatever, you know.
Nice.
And your guy Telly was a captain, and one year, so Conrad prior to this was known as the dude from Wild Wild West in the '60s, who, you know, if he dropped something, he couldn't pick it up because his pants were so damn tight. And then was on Baba Black Sheep for NBC, and took it way too serious. And then there was a tie, and the tie between ABC and NBC. So they had a runoff, literally, between Robert Conrad and Gabe Kaplan, and Gabe Kaplan just Secretariat Seabiscuit his ass. Threw him off the track. And if that wasn't enough, you had Howard Cosell, who was co-hosting this because they asked him to and paid him. And the camera is at the finish line. And Conrad, you think these were great professional actors? He could not hide his disdain that he got his ass handed to him on the track.
Those little stubby legs from running.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Ron Say looked at him and went, dude, you're short. Oh, it was glorious. And the fact that I enjoyed Welcome Back, Kotter, and just didn't know Gabe Kaplan had that in him to just, you know, hand his own ass to him. It was the best.
All right. Back to Milo Janus Industries.
Milo Janus, played by Robert Conrad.
And we see Jessica, and she's answering a phone. And she has to open up a drawer that contains a giant reel-to-reel answering machine in it.
Right.
Well,
homage to Watergate.
Yeah. Yes. And of
well,
course,
especially with like clipping the sections out. Yeah.
Right.
That's right. 18 minutes.
Yeah.
And what we're learning here is that Milo Janus records every single phone call that goes through to his secretary and possibly to his line too. Because she had a recording of it going to the other line as well.
Because he's a shady guy. He's up to some shady business.
Right. And we see on the other end of the line, we've got Buddy calling in.
Played by Pat Harrington.
Yeah.
Famous playing Schneider. Wasn't One Day at a Time set in Indianapolis, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're not proud of that. I know there was a remake of the series with a different cast and Bully for them, but that was the thing in the late 60s, early 70s. Series, both dramatic and comedic, had to be set in different cities, so it wasn't just New York or L.A. And that was Indy's contribution. Yay! But I love Pat Harrington. He, besides Schneider, he was also the voice of Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther cartoons.
I did not know that.
And did just a slew of voiceover and television work, and I think a Hall of Fame that guy.
Amazing. So he's Buddy here, and he's a shady dude, and you can tell he's a shady dude because his collar is just too long for me. I was uncomfortable.
Hang gliding with those collars, man, with the sleeveless sweater and the shirt. Yeah, you could strike a match with.
All over the place. I would wear one of those shirts if I had the opportunity, but when
Those
I'm
very
watching.
those very fitted shirts that Robert Conrad was wearing.
Yeah, sure. I'd wear
No,
one of
not
those. I
that
got a
tight,
little
not
guy
that
complex,
tight.
just like Robert Conrad.
Got to show off your gold Ankh necklace.
I gotta
man.
get a gold
Yeah,
necklace.
That guy.
So he's Buddy's trying to call in. He's got an urgent news, and he's like, "I gotta get through to Milo right now." And Jessica's like, "Well, he's on the phone with some other people." And we go into Milo's office, where in fact he is on the phone with apparently like some kind of supplier or something. And
Right.
he's working out. We're gonna learn here that Milo's got connections everywhere. He's got a whole fucking factory line of
Right.
just like the supply chain.
A whole industry. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the whole thing locked up. And he's
I think Milo's also asking if he can still use peck jelly with all of his hairy arms and chest.
Right.
Yeah.
He had some very Robin Williams arms going on.
Yeah,
there. I noticed
he
that.
did. He
Yeah.
shaved his
He
chest
could have
hair.
lost
and then
10
left
pounds
his-
if he shaved.
Yeah, he actually trimmed his chest hair and left his arm hairs long, which is an interesting choice.
It's a body mullet.
Yeah, I feel like he wanted to make his arms look bigger. Like he was
Think?
comfortable
Like
with
he was
it.
he was insecure about his forearms.
Maybe.
Well, we have an theory that we'll get into later about his musculature.
Okay.
Maybe with his forearms he has a low center of gravity. If he he's like
yeah.
Ivan Putski but shorter.
Oh, maybe he likes it from when he's swimming. Like it gives him more
Drag
or something,
Yeah.
which
We'll
makes
get
him
to that.
buffer.
Talking about drag. Yeah.
So
Easily.
he's instructing the supplier, yeah, just go ahead and dump all the extra profits.
Well, he's like double the prices to everything.
Yeah, and
I mean,
the guy's like, wait, what? Why? What am I supposed to do with all the extra money? Oh, just dump it in my New York account.
Fucking
Right.
Netflix is him.
Yeah, if this were a modern thing, he'd be like, just do some stock buyback with it. It never changes. Never changes.
they always figure out a way. So then he gets on the phone with Buddy and he tells Jessica, "Do not tape this."
Yeah, go ahead and just stop the recorder right now. I'm gonna buy a new tape. I just want to save money on the tape.
Before we get further into it, I just want to say this was a very exhausting note-taking episode for me because that's why I like Kojak because he just slaps a confession out of anybody. Like he doesn't care about clues.
Yeah.
So like I always feel nervous. Like I got to write every detail down because it might be important later on. So I'm basically writing the script.
This is a hard one for you. I've seen this episode multiple times.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So
I
it's
haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Right.
It's easier to be like, oh yeah, let's take note of that, take note of this. So.
Right.
Well, you might say, and I know it's kind of the details where you look into it. Besides the giant tape recorder, I'm sorry, I refer to her as hot secretary Jessica, also has the giant phone and the giant typewriter, which could also be murder weapons on another episode.
Yeah.
70s were a giant decade. Giant collars.
Except for Robert Conrad.
Robert Conrad.
He's trying to take giant.
Well, maybe he was actually an average sized person, but everything else was so giant. He was in the land of the giants, if you will.
Oh. Good reference.
So, anyways, Milo gives Buddy a call, and he's like, "You got to get down here soon. Gene's talking crazy. He's locked himself in his office. He's got you. He thinks he's got some shit on you. Like, you really need to get down here." And he's like, "Well, okay."
Yeah, because
he takes the car. He doesn't jog. Frickin' hypocrite.
So the thing is, Milo has the franchises of this gym. By the way, the dingiest, shittiest looking gyms. I mean, it makes perfect sense that he's ripping people off.
Yeah, pathetic.
You mean that there's not the polished wood paneling in the gym area?
I was having flashbacks because up until like 2000, my bedroom had wood paneling, and I hated it. So it was awful. But but the thing is, it's like wood paneling, so the gyms are dark and dingy.
They're so dark. I mean, we do.
For fuck's sake, there's a scene where Columbo's on a treadmill and he's being held by a bungee cord.
And the thing is, normally at a gym you have like upbeat, lively music, and they're saying you're playing that shitty Caucasian calypso music on a loop.
Yeah. You're so.
That's
fat.
probably why the only people that worked out were just fat, like 60-year-old men that were like half naked.
I feel like this was more of a gentleman's club where they're coming and they're fucking each other or something.
Or they're getting massages and that kind of stuff.
Massages maybe.
GOP Promise Keepers meeting is this?
Yeah. So, of course, Milo's directed right into Gene's office. They got to talk business.
Yeah, because Gene bought a franchise from him.
And Gene is the opposite of Milo. He's a slob. He's got no gold chain. His collar, tiny. Fat neck, fat face, Chinese food everywhere.
Loose fitting clothing.
Loose fitting clothing.
Yeah.
He's got 2 coffee carafes just full of coffee, which is unhealthy.
That'll kill you.
That'll kill you.
As
Yeah,
Milo said.
The amount of, I think you could have a drinking game for every time Robert Conrad's character Milo gives
Yes.
you advice. I'm like, shut
Yes.
the fuck up.
I love, but this is so perfect for him, and Conrad comes off so good, just smugly telling people, because everyone's like, "You look like you're 35," and he's just like,
Yep.
he's totally fucking high on his own farts, you know.
Right.
So
Can't wait for him to get slam dunked.
Hey, he had a great tan though.
He had a
I'll put
great
it out
tan.
there.
Yes.
it's all that beach swimming. He trains in nature. Of course, he looks fucking beautiful.
course.
That's right.
That's why he's fit, and the people go to the gym are out of shape.
Yeah, because they're in the fucking cornhole of this gym.
They're in a cave.
They're in a cave.
There's
They'll
a
fight him in.
cornhole exercise at the gym.
Yeah, well, they're probably stretching some cornholes too. So
Whoever called that game cornhole with the beanbags and the ramps, that's the worst publicity. You got to name it something else.
you
Yeah.
gotta name it something
Yeah.
else.
Sack ball.
So
Ball sack.
also amongst
Oh, that's good. That's good.
also amongst Gene's desk, besides the Chinese food, which is 4 different quarts of various things.
Yeah.
You know, you get the free white rice. He's got the fried rice. He's got the spare ribs. He's got
Racist, right?
Lo mein.
lo mein.
That's right.
There's a pepper in here. It's healthy. But yeah, he's also got all these fucking accounting papers and everything. He's
Right.
got some notepad,
You
yellow
know
pad, white
something's
pad.
up with Milo, but he's not. But because Milo covers his tracks, he's like Trump. He covers his tracks.
Yes.
So he's like, I know you're up to something.
He-
But I'll figure it
I
out.
like this because Gene is almost doing his own Columbo. He just hasn't perfected it because he's kind of egging him on. He's like, check out this invoice I have from the Green Eagle Supply, $2,600. I can buy it off the shelf for half the price. Well, you know I've got to keep my
Quality.
quality.
That's what he
Maintain
says.
quality. When I grow, you grow. Except you're short.
Right.
And I'm 5'5". I can say that. Yeah, I think Gene shows his cards way too early. I mean, if you was like Columbo, he'd just say, you know what, I'm just trying to tie up a few loose ends.
Right.
My instead of my captain, it's like my accountant wants me to check on this thing. So he could have been a little more discreet before he,
Right.
gets a pipe to the neck, which we'll get to in a bit.
He just got a little too hungry. Just like when he was working out later this night, he ends up killing himself. You know, he just
Good word,
wanted
yeah.
it too bad. Just like he wanted those spare ribs and the lo mein and the
Who
fried.
does?
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
way Milo has this whole franchise set up is you have to buy supplies, everything, even office supplies from him.
This sounds like a franchise that we're dealing with modernly.
It's
like
like,
the McDonald's ice cream machines.
It's like what the fuck? They're in
Coal
Grand
mining
Rapids.
town?
What's the
Coal
Amway?
Amway, same
Yeah.
Amway.
way.
Oh God,
Yeah.
there's a blast from the past in the 70s.
Based out of Michigan.
Grand
Hello.
Rapids.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome, world.
For nothing.
But yeah, so Gene is just pulling it up there. He's just pulling out these shoestrings, just little bits. Like, hey man.
But he also says, I'm going to report you to the Securities and Exchange Commission for a class action suit, but I'm going to sit here and eat my Chinese food.
Right. And Robert
Yeah.
Conrad's like, you need to relax.
I think
That's
you need
right.
to get
More
off it
advice.
a little bit more. Yeah. So Milo sees his way out, and he goes over to Bud, and he's like, "Hey, man, don't even worry about what Gene's working on. He's got nothing. I'm gonna be out of the country with $3 million in Kukurans or something.
Yeah.
NFTs.
NFT. Oh yeah, he's got all that
He invested
NFTs.
heavily into
Yeah.
crypto.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
so heavily.
Dogecoin. I
Dogecoin.
got all
Banksy
that.
painting, all that.
He's like, I'm gonna be on the beaches of France working on my tan.
I got a good friend, Epstein. He's got his own island. I gotta go
But he's
hang
going to
out
get
there.
his freedom tan.
There we go.
And he's like, Bud, don't worry about it. I'm having a party tonight. What was going on with this? He was going to show a X-rated horror movie that was uncut. Like, what are they watching?
And he said an X-rated movie. Apparently, it was a Western. It wasn't even an adult movie because, it's NBC. So, whatever NBC grabbed from the vault and just kind of threw up on, because apparently you're not supposed to pay attention to the screen. But like, a guy like myself, it's like when you have a scene with a movie theater outside a major city street, I'm always looking at the marquee
Yeah.
to see what's there.
Right.
So I'm gonna see what they're actually watching, and that was no porn.
And he's really enticing you. It's X-rated, uncut.
Right. It's a black and white movie. It's got the lead-in, the dramatic
It's got-
lead-in,
it's-
like organ music.
Yeah,
Like
like a horror movie.
Like it's a horror movie or
Yeah.
something.
They called Stag, or I don't think he would go to Snuff. I don't think Milo is the Snuff guy.
Yeah.
We were theorizing.
Yeah,
on
we
that.
were
Yeah,
we
was
were
that
theorizing
it?
on that one.
And so he goes up to Secretary Jess. And he's like, "Hey, why don't you come over?
Yeah, you better come over tonight. It's going to be a hot swinging party, a little bit of a stag movie.
Because he needs her. Because he's like, I got to go do some stuff. I got to go
Right.
see a guy in Pasadena about another franchise.
Milo, give it to him. He's a quick thinker.
Yeah.
All he did was drive back to his office, and he's already plotted this all out. I got the recording. I'm going to cut the tape. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. This is really pretty smart of him.
Yeah, and he tells her, so can you, like, get the house ready, And she's like, sure, I can do
Yeah,
that.
I got to go over to town. That Parker son of a bitch, he's calling me again. He wants me to come out and talk to him about a gym deal or something. So I got to go there. You go to my house. Let yourself in, which we later learned she's only been here the one time, but she
Yes.
knows his house.
Right.
She knows she's got a key.
No, we'll get to that.
Key was in the
That's
mailbox. He said that.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
But
So
no, Milo's a Sade song. He's a smooth operator.
he is.
He
really
is. He smooches her, and then she takes off.
Yeah.
And then he goes to her desk, goes to that gigantic reel-to-reel answering machine,
Oh,
tape
yeah.
recorder.
Then he goes into her.
She's got like
other
cuticle
drawer.
cutters or something
Yeah,
in her
what were these
drawer.
tiny scissors for?
They're for trimming nose hair. I told you that.
Oh, right.
Jess has a lot of nose hair.
Or an animal's claws. Either one.
Yeah.
Or the reason his chest hair is shaved so close is that she goes through and clips
Gives him that
with
perfect
that.
Street Fighter character, Starburst on his chest.
One
So-
only hopes.
That's what.
Yeah,
it
and
is.
he cuts out a little segment of Gene asking to speak with Milo.
Yes.
So all right.
All right, now we're going, of course, back to Milo's. He's got the doctor tape, and he's at his place now, and he's setting up the reel-to-reel. So apparently he goes home before anybody shows up because he's got to get everything staged for later tonight.
Yeah, he's got all this equipment to like edit fucking tape and
He's
stuff.
a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like an audio file or something. He's all into tech stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe,
got a-
maybe he was hanging out with the other John Carpenter, the guy who supplied Bob Crane with all of his video equipment.
Maybe.
He looks like the kind of type that would do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he is into snuff films, or stag films, snuff films, X-rated films. He's into all that. So maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Maybe Jessica actually has been here, but it was like an eyes wide shut type of party, and she didn't know where she
Or
was.
he drugs her. You don't know.
I
Mm.
wish
He's,
Jeff
he's
knew that.
handing pills out to people all the
He
time.
does literally
That
hand
is
people
true.
pills.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we definitely will.
So he's rigged up the tape, and he's going to confront. He's going to try to talk Gene out of this crazy notion that
Right.
he's a crooked.
And this is, after so many hours, like the Gene's gym. I like that actually. That sounds good for a sign.
Better than Janice Jim's?
Janet's gyms is better.
Well, that's
I
why. Quality.
I'd hang out at Janet's gym.
Yeah,
Right.
with the
But
fat
yeah,
guy.
Gene's on his 15th course of Chinese food.
Right.
Oh my God.
Slurping on those spare ribs.
Just sucking the meat right off the bone.
Right.
Right.
Put another pot of coffee on.
Well, the coffee helps digestion.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
But it'll
It's-
kill you.
It's like a luge.
It'll kill you.
Yeah.
That stuff will kill you.
So he confronts Gene. He's like, "Look,
I don't like you with all this paperwork. You should be worrying about your cardiovascular, not my extracurriculars.
and he's like,
Wow.
and that hilarious joke puts Gene's guard down. And then what was it like the barbell from like a dumbbell that he had? What was that like?
Yeah, I hope it was, or I don't for pull-ups or something, or I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a random metal bar, but it was hollow, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think it was a barbell. Like
Yeah, I
bar.
thought it was
Yeah.
supposed to be a barbell
Yeah,
where you
for a
have the
dumbbell.
weights.
Supposed
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
So he just rams him. He pins him
Well,
against the wall and starts strangling.
Yeah,
him.
he gets close and he's like, this stuff's gonna kill you. And Gene finally gets himself up and he's like, yeah, it's not gonna kill me. I'm gonna get some coffee. So he starts to get ready to pour himself some coffee, and he's like, that stuff will kill you too. Nothing will kill me. This will kill you.
He says, "Yeah, I plan to live for a long time," and he goes, "Afraid not," and then goes for the throat.
So as he's doing that, Gene's got the carafe of hot piping hot coffee.
You think it'd be easier to try to strangle him with your hands?
You think so?
Yeah.
But he awkwardly comes.
He's got to.
in
He's
with
like,
the
I'm a
handle.
gym guy. I got to go to the gym kind of way of kill.
That's
Gotta
right.
go with the
That's
crushing, I guess.
That's
You
right.
know, maybe the length of the bar as opposed to two
Fingerprints.
thumbs. maybe.
fingerprints.
Fingerprints on
You
your
know?
flesh. Yeah.
But as he's coming across Gene's throat with it, he ends up bumping the craft and the coffee.
No,
pours.
Gene's like struggling and pours the coffee on
he
his hand to
pours it
get him
on.
off.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. And-
His arm will be up all night.
Yep. That's
Put a
on
rim
coffee.
shot on that one, Griff. And then Gene takes off, hightails
Velcro.
it through the ping pong room, and he gets met. Janice Milo catches up with him. They struggle some more. They're scuffing up the floor like crazy.
Oh,
People, wear your tennis shoes, not sneakers. We say tennis shoes in the Midwest.
It's true.
Wear your tennis shoes on these floors.
We definitely don't
Not,
take
not
trainers.
since Javier Bardem and No Country for Old Men have there
Ooh.
been that many scuffs on a wax floor.
Yeah, that's a good callback right there. That's
He
that's
should have
good,
used a
right?
cattle fucking killer.
Yeah,
on-
he should have
on
used
Gene.
that or the
You should have
handcuff.
told Dean to call it, friendo.
And guess what? He finally kills Gene.
So now we got to start working on hiding this body. He's got to drag it into the.
Well, not
weight room.
hiding it, making it look like
Yeah,
an
he's got
accident.
to stage it because
Yeah.
we're always all about staging the crime scene.
That's right.
And he gets him out there. He's like, "How can I stage it?" Oh, there just happens to be 250 pounds on 180 on this bench. What do you call it?
It was a bench press, yeah.
Bench press, yeah.
But there's no way there was 180 pounds on that. There's these tiny little. But of course, we were theorizing that Robert Conrad. It was probably like supposed to be 100,
Mm-hmm.
but Robert Conrad's like, no, 180. I can lift 180.
Yeah.
And they're
maybe,
like,
maybe it's the lens between Conrad's height and the visuals of the barbell weight. So,
Oh, Peter Jackson Force Perspective.
very good.
Yeah, everything about this episode. That's why the gym seems so small. Because he wants to look real big in it.
Yeah.
Oh, and Milo's happy. He gets an extra workout. He gets to drag Gene's dead ass to the dressing room and gets him dressed. And then here we go, friends. Ties his shoes, which we'll get to later.
yes. Yeah, they tie everything up with a bow on this show. When you watch it
Literally.
again, you're like, every beat, you're like, there's no, screw ups or anything.
Yeah.
Proper use of the word literally.
I mean, I do like you. You're right. While he's doing this, he's so into fitness. He's literally whistling and he's checking his pulse while he's moving him across.
Checking his Fitbit.
And
He's
he
like,
even has this line. He mutters to himself, "Oh, this is a genius plan."
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's so happy.
another rim shot in there.
So satisfied. Yeah.
Yeah. So
This is
yeah,
that
he's like you
kind of
said, puts
episode.
him in the sweats, lays him on the bench, picks up that 180-pound barbell and blaze it across the neck
Right.
to make it look like he had possibly had a heart attack and dropped the.
Right.
But hey,
Or crush his windpipe and nobody was there to spot him because you need a spotter.
right? Yeah.
That's what you get for going to a gym at 6 o'clock at night, which, there are 24-hour gyms now. Apparently, like TV, it wasn't 24 hours back then.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You remember we were kids, shit closed. Like nothing was open on Sunday ever, and it was.
Is that something you're like, shit, let's do that again? Or do you like modern times?
I like modern times. I like be able to do whatever you want whenever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
That
think that's
sucks.
bad because Sunday nights it closed early in Michigan. In Indiana, it closed 2 hours earlier.
Ugh.
Like 4 o'clock.
On Sundays back then, yeah.
Good Lord.
Indiana just got liquor sales a few years ago.
Jesus, you guys are really behind on the times.
Am I right on this? Do they do daylight savings in Indiana?
They do, except the very edge of Gary, so the northwest area, and the
Yeah.
southwest, like Evansville, don't. I mean, they're around.
So make it
Chicago.
more irritating. Just
It's
a
more,
couple
it's more
spots.
irritating. So
Yeah.
That's
this is
incredible.
why we can't have this Pence. Oh God, Quail. This is why we can't have nice things.
Right. This is why you're all on drugs.
Yes,
like
I
Evil Knievel
love
told
that.
us.
Evil Knievel and Moses Gunn in Rollerball. Way to represent Indianapolis in the film industry.
Thanks for calling back Rollerball.
Underappreciated episode, by the way.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Great episode. Yeah.
So Milo, a very underappreciated character in this episode, is showing up to his own party, and everybody's already there, ready to get a
They
wank
can't
on.
wait to get their pants around their ankles. Like, let's get this X-rated Western started.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've already seen it, so I'll get it started. Because he's got like the projector in his study.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, don't worry, calm down. I'll tell you.
And,
Goes in. Go ahead.
The official drink when you're watching snuff westerns, orange juice. Vitamin C.
Yeah.
I like that he did say orange juice, vitamin C. He's always whispering what he's after, and it's always some kind of vitamin or glucosamine or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he starts up the film, so they're distracted. Their eyes are glued to the screen. And then he picks up the old phone.
Oh, yeah. Right when he walks in the door, he's like, that fucking crazy Parker, because he's got to lay that alibi out for everybody. And the most obvious, Parker had me over at his mobile car dealership.
In Pasadena, all the way across town.
I had to go to the In-N-Out over there. Not for anything, just a glass of water.
My two favorite things of the Columbo Killer are the announcing of the alibi, and then we'll get to it, the reaction of the announcement of the death of the victim.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good call too, for sure. However they react, it's always good.
Right.
So he's like, all right, I'll start the film.
Snuff Western.
Snuff Western. So he goes into the study, starts it up, shuts the door, calls the telephone in the room that they're in.
Sets up his reel-to-reel with the audio recording
of Gene talking,
Yep.
and then Jess answers it. And it's just like, hey, Jess, this is Gene. Can I speak to Milo? And she's like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll get him. And then she goes in the office. Or
he comes out of the office, and he's like, who's that? Oh, it's Gene. Oh, that crazy Gene. I told him not to work too hard tonight. Is he
can you believe that? He was doing all this paperwork, and then he decided to stay and do a workout, too.
Interesting.
Crazy.
And he says really loudly, don't do anything strenuous.
You've been working really hard over there, and I saw all that Chinese food.
Me, but yeah, don't.
Think about your heart health.
Yeah.
Don't eat before you do that. Wait 30 minutes, you get a cramp.
Milo's voice not nearly as loud as Buddy's checkered pants, but he does his best.
Buddy does have some intense pants. Even one of the cops who shows up on the scene had that intense jacket we're about to get to see here.
All right, so we've set up everything. Now it's for the star of the show.
Everybody at everybody at Milo's party has a good laugh because, again, making the alibi very obvious. He talked to Gene. Everybody heard it. Let's go.
And like you said, this is a classic Columbo. They show the murder in the first act, and then it's Columbo arrives.
So you get to see, because it's cool. Usually you get the whodunit, or like a how, but we get to see how the guy did it, and then we get to see him build his alibi in front of us. So
and you get to see Columbo figure it out.
Right.
So okay.
You try to do this, Daniel Craig.
Yeah. I don't know. Are we excited about the new Knives Out?
I think Daniel Craig with a southern accent cracks me up, so I'm down for it. I mean, he also did it in what was the Steven Soderbergh film? It was with him and Adam Driver, where it was like a redneck version of Ocean's 11.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, Lucky Logan. That's it, Lucky Logan. But
I think I watched.
The fact that he's able to do something beyond James Bond, I'm fine with that. But I enjoy murder mysteries because you have all the trope characters, and if you have really good actors, they know how to skate the fine line between performance and camp. So I'm down with it.
I will say it's the one role I liked Captain America in. He was good at Knives Out.
No, Reb Brown should be in Knives Out.
Well, if we wanted to make a perfect movie, yes, Reb Brown would have been in it.
You're the killer. Damn it!
Shit! Son of a bitch!
He wouldn't even deny it. He's like, shit, I did it? Okay, Columbo.
But of course, it was Lou Ferrigno he was covering for.
Yeah. Bad recycling music. Yeah.
Columbo.
So Columbo arrives. This scene, total waste of time, and I loved every second of it. Because it's just
Peter Falk.
It's developing him as a character.
Yeah, he's showing the scenery. Peter Falk knows what he's doing.
One of his early lines is, "Who the hell's calling me at this hour?" I mean, come on,
he's sticking to his hobo trope by carrying his thermos in a paper bag.
Yes.
Did he have anything? Me and Murray were arguing about this. Did he have anything else in the bag other than the thermos?
No, he did not.
No, that was it.
Yeah.
I'm sure his thermos was the same pattern as Buddy's pants from the night before. You don't want to. You don't want to throw people off.
Well, he
And
don't
much
give a
like
fuck.
me, when I wake up, I'm just feeling like shit, and he's feeling like shit. It's 6:30 in the morning, people,
Yeah.
and he's just like, "Oh, I gotta get my coffee."
He's doing this thing where he's completely in plain sight, but he's like a lump on a log. No one's really noticing him. He's just overhearing all the conversations. The cops are talking to the janitor and everything, and that's when he hears that there's a call waiting for him, and he's just like, oh my God, I'm not myself without my coffee. And they're like, well, you got a phone call, so you can go into Milo's office over here. And yep, that's your favorite scene. He walks in there, and he's just immediately like going through the trash can while he's talking to his wife.
But yeah, his wife. Like, why is this important? Like, he's on a crime scene.
I'm going to go. First off, there were no CDs for him to rifle through. Sorry.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
But no, there's
Or
always
jeans
been the
on.
theory on, is Mrs. Columbo real?
Yes, they did a spinoff. Kate Mulgrew.
Yes, I
played
know.
Mrs. Columbo.
Although to be fair, I love Columbo and I love Kate Mulgrew. No way they're married. No way. It's way
She's not
too
thick
young.
enough for him.
And
He's
well, here's the
charming,
thing.
though. He charms you.
He does. So my wife, and you can thank/blame my wife for this. My wife envisioned Mrs. Columbo, played by one of your favorites, Rhea Perlman.
I knew you were going. Whoa, the Swedes of the scale. Dun, 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 dun.
In this case, the fact that he's on the phone with her because he always brings her up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, so the fact that he's having a conversation, he's not psychotic and having an imaginary conversation
No.
with himself. He's not Milo.
Well, somebody answered the phone when Mrs. Columbo called, so yeah, the
Right.
cop is crazy
Oh,
too.
right.
No, and by the way, Donald Pleasance also a killer on Mrs. Columbo. That's a must watch. So,
What?
yeah, he did. He's the only actor to be in both.
That's amazing.
No
gotta watch
meltdowns
that.
in that one, but you can't have everything.
Well, hey, this is an important call. She needs to know what to feed the family that's
Right?
coming over later.
And he doesn't even know what. He's like, wait, why are you up? What time is it?
Right.
He doesn't have a
To be
watch.
fair, he did roll out of bed and probably woke her like, I have a treat
Right.
to do.
That's
Because
true.
he's like,
Right.
feed him spaghetti, and then there's a pause. Who's on a diet? Then he looks over at Gene's food. Feed him Chinese. Not this Chinese. Chinese.
That's what I thought he was going to do. I thought he was going to take the Chinese food out of the trash home to his
All you
wife.
gotta do is reheat it in a skillet. It's fine.
Yeah.
No dead person ate it.
Yeah. So,
Oh my God. And so he's finishing up with his wife, and this is adorable because you think they're gonna do like a nagging wife thing, but no, Columbo is so in love with his wife. He's got this big old
Yes.
smirk, and he's just like, you can keep on talking, but I gotta go. And he hangs up the phone, and he's just looking down, he's going through the trash, he's like, there's still meat on this rib. He didn't suck it dry.
Mrs.
And then-
Columbo,
yeah.
Mrs. Columbo is like Santa Claus. So long as you believe in her in your head and your heart, she's there.
I like
Right.
that. I never stopped believing in Miss Columbo.
Damn
But-
straight.
Not only is that bone not dry, but he's noticing that carpet's not dry.
Very good.
it's some kind of stain.
No, I
Ew.
poured coffee on a
Okay.
lot of different things. This is
Yeah.
not a coffee stain. It's a brown carpet to begin with, which they call a rug.
Yes, they call it a rug, but it's
Yeah, that's
the wall-to-wall rug.
Yeah. it's one of those fancy wall-to-wall rugs.
He gets down, he sniffs that big pile of
And
stain,
he's like, is this mochaccino? No.
rubs it between his fingers, tastes it.
Yeah.
goes,
Right.
I've
He's-
tasted that
he's
before.
realizing it's a
Big
big
behind
dump.
his ear a little bit.
Yeah.
Mackerel House? Is this a Folgers?
Denny's coffee?
Oh, Denny's. Ooh.
How'd they get
Did
Denny's?
someone travel all the way over here? Is that the kind of man Gene is? You can really tell a lot.
Gene was
about-
talking with Denny's about making it,
That
like
might have
selling
been
it in
it.
stores. Yeah.
How can I motivate my gym participants gym members to really work out? Denny's coffee.
Milo mochas.
Milo mochas. That's what Milo would supply him with.
Right.
That'll kill you.
Yeah, that's
kill you.
genius.
Oh, but it's low fat milk, but he's always thinking about quality.
Yes.
That's right. So Columbo's trying to figure out this is a big stain, and he grabs a little coffee cup, like an espresso cup, and he minds pouring it on the ground. He's like, "This just doesn't fit." And then he takes the carafe and pours it. He's like,
You're
"Okay."
right. They could cover every base with this fucking
Yes.
show.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So then he stumbles out, walks into the ping pong room.
The ping pong room.
That's heavy exercise right there. Ping pong.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's only one ping pong table in the ping pong room.
Right. And I love this set dressing, though. You see all the posters, like the neon posters with the fucking black marker on them. It's like table tennis tournament this Saturday.
Intense. That's on ESPN 8, the Ocho.
Of course.
And he's looking down at that floor, and he's like, "I thought the janitor said he waxed this floor last night.
And
There's scuffs everywhere."
Yeah, he's saying it out loud as the janitor's coming in. I did wax the floor.
6
Right.
o'clock.
Columbo Charlie. So I'm like, okay, here's two working class guys, uniting together.
It's so good.
Yeah, is that a thing? We just call it, all those working class guys call each other Charlie?
I guess that's like Bud or,
Okay.
I don't know.
I
Tells him to not wax the floor, keep it as is.
Right.
Yeah, and then he's like,
he's got to get the timeline of when he was there.
he's like, "Are those reading glasses?" The guy's like, "Yeah, let me see those." Puts them on, gets his face right up on that scuff. He's like,
Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Brown.
Yeah.
Brown.
And you said, what time you waxed this floor? 6 p.m. sharp. Was anybody here? Gene was, or what's his name? Mr.
Gene? It was Gene. Gene Stafford.
Stafford. Mr. Stafford was in his office, but, he left. I thought he left. No, he didn't leave yet.
He was on his 9th round of Chinese food.
That's right.
Right. And so he's like, like, can I see your shoes? And he's like, well, it couldn't have been Mr. Stafford because he was wearing sneakers like you're supposed to.
Right, and that's, of course, how they found him. With
Right.
The
And he checks the janitor's shoes, and they're black. There's no way he can leave a brown scuff.
So now he's got to go. The janitor's been blaming the cops for the scuff marks. He thinks the cops put him on the floor.
Right.
So he heads out to, like, the main weight room, which is depressing.
Yeah.
Again, this is
sad.
This is when you go to a hotel that promises you it has a gym, and it's literally like a towel room with, like, 2 exercise machines.
Yeah.
Very creepy stuff.
It's the Chuck Norris fitness thing, which
think-
is a million things in one.
Right, the Total Gym 2000.
Right. If
We
you
had
got
one of
2, you're
those.
covered.
We had one of those in my childhood home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your dad in super shape?
Dad was a buff dude.
Okay. Robert Conrad buff?
Buffer. My dad was not 5'5".
Okay.
Whatever.
Sorry.
Hey, we're not giants either, so don't worry about
That's
it.
right. No one here is a Chippendale dancer.
Yeah, none of us could rock it at the Chippendales.
We're all at the
We're all under
Dinky
6
Dales.
feet.
Wait, what?
There you
What
go.
were the Dinky Dales?
That's an
Excuse me,
idea.
what?
We're all at.
Is that
We're all
the Western they were watching?
So Columbo goes out to the room where all the cops are mingling, having their donuts and coffee. And he's like, "Hey, excuse me, anybody here have brown shoes on?" And they're like, "No, that's company policy. I would kill it. I'd slap a cop in the face if he came in with brown shoes. We wear black shoes."
Don't matter.
Black. Jesus Christ, the Velcro that's happening in this episode.
And so he's like, "Okay, that's strange. Can I see with the locker where Mr. Stafford
He
kept
calls the janitor. Charlie, get in here.
Right.
Where is Mr. Stafford's locker? Just go in there. So they head in there. Columbo uses a pencil to try to open it. Locked.
Right.
Why is this locker locked?
He didn't want anybody to steal his stuff, but the place was closed. Why would he have to worry about that?"
I guess this Mr. Stafford was a really careful guy, huh?
then
Ate
they
Chinese food with reckless regard.
Right. And then they open the locker, and he has his shoes, the brown shoes, that are tied.
Ooh.
Remember that, people. Remember that.
Brown soles. And Charlie the janitor nods along. Brown soles.
And we get a nice Carl Weathers close-up shot of his hand holding that brown shoe.
There are no M&Ms at Milo's gym.
No, there were not.
And then this is where they're finishing up, and he's just like, and it's the weirdest stain in his office. He's like, "What stain are you talking about? That rug's only 5 weeks old."
There's no way you could stain it in a carpet for less than 5 weeks. So then he goes out to talk to the ME who's examining the body.
Right. And this guy looks annoyed that Columbo's talking to him. Old guy, tiny little
So
glasses.
he's not a regular.
Yeah, he's not a There
Okay.
is basically no regulars. There's
Okay.
a few. I feel like there's a few cops who are kind of like Columbo's assistant for the episode.
They tried. They tried to have. There's been a couple actors that did like 1 or 2, maybe 3
Yeah.
episodes, and that's it. But there's no.
Yeah.
I hate to say it's kind of like Jamie's parents on Mad About You. It's just a different pair of actors every time.
I mean, I thought it worked better. It's a show about Columbo. I don't want a second reel. I
Exactly.
just want to see Columbo.
Yeah, you get. I mean, like unless the killer is let out 4 times. I remember seeing in reruns like in 1 week there was 2 Robert Culp episodes, and I went, the California prison system's fucked. Why does this guy keep getting out?
Liberals.
It's just we don't.
Yes.
Right. We don't need to see him bounce ideas with an assistant. Like he talks to strangers.
The
or
voices in
comic
his
books.
heads.
Mrs. Columbo will call him on a payphone that he's walking by. Or of course he talks to the suspect himself or themselves. So that's where Columbo is. It's not in an assistant, so you can't have one.
So he's like, what's it look like?
Yeah.
Poison? Well, I guess one of those sneaky Chinese people could have put something in his food. MSG,
You know?
hear of it?
MSG.
And they have a nice little racist giggle at that joke, and then he's like, "I don't know. His windpipe's crushed. It's 180 pounds. Nobody could pick up. Not even Robert Conrad could pick up 180 pounds."
And then all the cops happen to leave all at once, and Columbo's left in the
Well,
weight room.
he sets it out. He's like, "It could have been a coronary. We don't know. We're gonna have to take
Oh, okay.
we can examine the body."
So Columbo gets a moment alone, and he's looking down at that weight. He's like, "I could do 180," and he tries to yeah, go ahead.
What he's thinking is, I got to pad another hour before I bust this guy.
There we go. That's true. He is pretty confident in himself. So Columbo's going to go over and try to apparently deadlift it.
Yeah,
What kind of?
I think it's a deadlift.
Yeah, it's like a deadlift.
Yeah, and he does it. He picks it up.
An inch and a half.
Yeah, but I don't think Peter Falk could have picked up 180 because it's not 180 pounds. It's like 100 pounds. But like you said, Robert Conrad had to have them say 180.
Right. So
Right.
we know we need a fit man.
Yes.
I think that's all we've really gathered here. We need a fit man who had access to the gym, maybe?
Yes.
That's about all we got.
And has brown shoes.
And,
Maybe.
well, no, because, oh, yeah, I guess he doesn't know who scuffed the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go. We're going over to Milo's house now. Columbo is, of
boy.
course.
Jess, she's just making herself at home in the bikini with the high heel shoes.
Apparently, Matt
on.
wants to take this one away.
Yeah, let
Go
me
for it.
step aside, lads. I wanna point out to the listening audience, the actress name is Gretchen Corbett, and
Great name.
Did a handful of, did a lot of movies and TV and theater. Probably the thing the most known she was an attorney on the Rockford Files. But I had never seen a cherry print bikini before this episode, and I haven't seen one since, and that's fine. Perfection right there. It was the fact that she opens the door, and this is also a rare one. Columbo has a loss of words.
Mm-hmm.
It throws his game off just for a bit, and so
Her
Gretchen,
reaction to it is even better too.
It's got to be 8 in the morning because it was 6:30 at the gym. She's drinking 8 in the morning
Yeah.
in a bikini.
Hey, you said it. She put Clamato juice.
Yeah, some
in there.
Clamato.
Yeah.
Ugh, yeah.
But I love in his flustered state, she's just like he's like, I'm looking for someone. She's like, it doesn't look like you know what you're looking for. He's like, I do know, Milo Janis. And she's just like, well, I'm his secretary. She just comes right out with that. Oh, I'm just his secretary. I'm here to fuck him.
We all should have a secretary in a cherry bikini.
Right. This is the 70s. This is what happens. That's what we do.
Apparently we need to fire Mattingly. Or put Mattingly in a cherry bikini.
Well, hey, we'll think about that.
We'll think about it, yeah.
But, yeah, so he flashes the badge, so she lets him in.
Of course.
And she's like, well, Milo's out running on the beach right now. He'll be back soon.
I keep a slim figure by pouring myself a nice, tall vodka bourbon with Clamato.
Vodka and Clamato, yeah.
You don't want bourbon and Clamato. That's oof.
Call it Slimy Mary is what they call it.
Slimy Mary.
They put a nice celery stock in there. It's the only
Yeah.
thing celery's good for, to put in your slimy
Right.
Mary.
The old Kentucky V8.
Yeah.
You mean it's not one of those suburban big city bars where they put, a buffet as your garnish on a Bloody Mary nowadays?
The last time I went to a Lions game a few years back, that's one of the things they were doing is the Bloody Marys, and you would get like a giant Slim Jim in there. They would do like olives because they would make it the straw, the Slim Jim. They would put the hole in it so you could slurp it through and then eat it.
I saw it was like a TikTok video. It was a guy at a baseball game.
I always knew you were a TikToker. You're trying to get up with the Gen Z.
This guy, I wasn't on TikTok. I was actually on Twitter, but it was a TikTok video
exactly
they put
what
on
you
there.
would say. I wasn't on TikTok.
What are you, Columboing me, you motherfucker?
I am, you motherfucker.
A guy had a hot dog, and he put a straw and pushed it through, and he made the hot dog into a straw and put it in his beer.
Did either one of those drinks also have an extra portion of sadness?
Yeah.
Well, the people buying those types of drinks at a football game, I spent $100 to get in here. I'm going to spend $20 on a shitty Bloody Mary. I don't know. I wonder.
So he's got questions. He's like, I got to ask you something. I got a guy who knows and swears he's 51 years old. He's 53, actually. Wow, this exercise stuff must work, because I thought he was 35.
Incredibly funny.
From the exercise?
Yeah, from the exercise,
right.
right.
I get that all the time, too. People
You do.
think I'm Griff's younger brother, and I'm
That's
like,
right.
no, I'm not.
That's right.
But-
So Milo just happens to walk in that door, and he's looking great. He's got his Adidas tracksuit on.
No costume. His actual Robert Conrad's actual wardrobe from home.
Nice.
Right.
I mean, a lot of Peter Falk stuff is.
Well,
from
we could
home.
tell it was the shoes because he had lifts in them, obviously.
Yeah. Running shoes with lifts in them. Very interesting. And he probably was feeling especially tiny because Peter Falk is still as tall as him.
Yeah.
Right.
And Secretary Jessica is wearing heels, like you mentioned, in a fucking bathing suit.
Right.
So clearly he's going full Costanza, and he likes a tall lady.
Right. Well, I don't think he would, because he's so self-conscious about his height.
Well, apparently that's something he's keeping. I mean, she was shut into his house. She wasn't even allowed to go running with him.
So, like we say, Columbo, he likes to disarm people
Yeah.
by just some chit-chat first. And he's like, I got to tell you, you saved my marriage. My wife, she's usually a happy woman.
Right.
But there was a couple last years, she's got depressed. And when she gets depressed, she eats.
Oh, yeah.
And we can't have that. She gets big and fat, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Ricotta, lasagna. I want to take you to Bermuda, Bahama.
Stop quoting the Beach Boys, goddammit.
I'm with you there. Fuck the Beach Boys.
Fuck the Beach Boys.
I'd rather
All
not.
agreed.
But yeah, I'm with you, yeah. And
Yeah.
then at the end of that, he's like, well, she was never, and he's like, oh, so she's cured. Well, she was never exactly thin.
Yeah, that was Jessica's addition. Oh, she's thin now. Oh, no, Mrs. Columbo is, and he's like miming like she's kind of,
Well,
a
he's
thick
like,
lady.
she's just right. He's like, I'm into the thick ladies.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, that's just how I like it.
yeah,
like,
that's how I
Cal-
like it. So fuck, yeah. I'm down with
Milo
Columbo.
also did an extra one of, well, anybody can do this if they put their mind to it. Fresh air, exercise, proper diet. I'm like, up yours, Milo.
Right. He's doing the whole millennials and their mental issues. Fuck that. Fresh air. Grab a fucking bark.
Avocado toast.
Avocado.
He's like,
toast.
Columbo, did you come here to tell me about your wife's being fat? What?
Oh,
Can you cut to the chase?
sir, you're right. I'm just so nervous to tell you this. Again, with the disarming. He's a homicide detective. And he's like, I hate to give you this bad news.
He also said before that, he's like, you're talking soybeans and wheat germ. I like a bowl of chili and a rare steak. That's the audience. That's the food of the audience.
Yeah.
Right. What is
chili.
it with the
Rare
70s
steak.
being like, chili, the worst food you can put in your body?
No.
that is-
Cincinnati chili is the worst food you can put in your
Yes.
body.
No, Cincinnati chili is the worst food.
Is there really
Period.
put cheese on it or something?
That's the
Cheese
spaghetti
is fine,
noodles.
but cheese
Spaghetti.
and spaghetti and onions.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I love spaghetti. I love chili. Don't necessarily need them together.
Yeah, no, you put that on the
That's not a chocolate peanut butter
Lafayette
situation.
closed down.
Correct.
Well, because they had rat droppings everywhere. Like,
Kayla actually went there. I think
are they officially closed down?
Yeah, they got closed down for a while. I don't know if they'll be able to open back up.
They'll be open back.
Kayla
up.
ended
It's
up
an institution.
going over there like a month ago, and she was like, it was disgusting.
Yeah, it always has been.
I went down.
You've been to Lafayette, right?
Yeah. So long as
Yeah.
the turds are organic, it's okay.
Right. It's just an extra spice to the chili.
But yeah, so horrifying experience apparently. I mean,
But hey, if you're ever in Detroit, you go to Lafayette. You don't go to America.
no, you
go
don't.
to Lafayette.
Like Lafayette's closed, so just don't get a coney at either.
Yes.
Because don't go to American.
Right.
Anyways, we were talking about
we get the
germ
bad killer acting from Milo.
Oh yeah, because he's doing the reveal now. He's saying, "Yeah, your associate Gene is dead," and he covers his face and turns away from the camera again. He's got those thick ass fingers. I can't imagine the holes he has to put into his bowling ball.
Jessica's with you on that.
Yep. God damn it, man! Over here with the goddamn GoPros, like taking so many notes.
So he starts working his alibi.
Yeah,
I told him not to do too much, and it was strange. It's also senseless, and
You don't work out after eating a big Chinese meal. We all know that.
I think what he immediately says is, "Was it a heart attack?" I bet it was a heart attack. He's going way too hard. So he immediately tries to throw him off the path by suggesting he doesn't know what it is, thinking it's a heart attack.
He just wants the quick results.
Right.
And,
oh, yeah, that's right. He was quick results.
Right. Columbo's like, well, we haven't figured it out yet what happened to him, but, I might be back for some more questions later. So he shakes Milo's hand and notices that coffee burn on his hand.
Yep.
He's like, hey, what happened with that? Oh, I burned myself on hot water when I was shaving this morning.
Yeah, likely story. And, of course, Columbo smells like that fresh brew in the morning. And he's like, oh, yeah, I had a burn just like that recently. Coffee, poured it on myself. Klutz. It's like, all right.
Time games.
And then he goes to walk out, but...
Just one more thing.
Just one more thing.
Oh, good. Take a drink every time you got one more thing.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them in here.
Where can I find Gene's lovely wife? Well, they've been separated for the past few months.
Yeah, Columbo's like, I went to Gene's house. His wife wasn't. Oh, they've been separated for months.
Right, all this stress over this gym thing, and she's over at the Beverly Hills Hotel or whatever, some apartment buildings.
And we head straight over there, and this is where the Foley work starts to drive.
Well, no, he goes,
crazy.
Just one more thing.
Oh.
How did you two meet? Did you ask how Milo and Gene meet?
Was that already here?
It says right here.
Oh.
And he's like, oh, my friend Buddy, we met at a party. So now Buddy becomes part of the.
This was when he was talking to Ruth.
It's right here.
Also showing snuff westerns.
This is when they talk to Ruth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And by the way,
don't use my own notes against me.
It's probably now 10 a.m. Ruth is a mess.
Oh yes, yeah. She's way more drunk than she's drinking the vodka without the clamato.
Yeah, she's going. Well, she's mourning her late husband that she was divorced from. Yeah. I feel you mourn in the morn, and I feel like this is pretty common for victims in Columbo, just drinking all hours of the day. I feel like that's how they show pain in the world of Columbo.
That's what adults did back then. You drank and you smoked.
You just drank and smoked.
She
does
you
drink.
Just bottled up all your anger
and smoke. So we do head straight over there, and this is where we learn about Buddy and everything.
And then, he asked, was there anything going on? She's like, he was pissed off about me or Milo. That's all it was.
His life was, because he was like, is Gene frustrated about anything? Oh, yeah, Milo and me. We were both on his ass all the time. It makes sense he divorced me.
And he's like, well, then how did he meet Milo? He met him at a party by his friend, Milo's friend, Buddy.
It's like, oh, interesting.
And then he brings up the name Lacey. Where did he see Lacey? It was on his calendar, right?
Yeah.
Gene's calendar.
Yeah.
It was a name. I see this name Lacey. Lacey. That's it. I don't know. Is that a woman? Is that a man? And she's like, well, it could be Louis Lacey.
Right. Not too sure. It's like, okay, ma'am. Thank you. Have a nice day.
So he goes straight back to Milo's place.
Yep.
Milo lives in beautiful palatial estate on a beach.
What are we
front
thinking?
property.
11:30 now?
Yeah, I think this is also the moment I think Conrad says to the director, you know what, just put a single shot. I'll jump in the ocean. I'll come out. I'll do push-ups. I can do everything in one
Yes,
take.
that was the most obnoxious part. He started doing push-ups when he came out of the
Yeah,
ocean.
you didn't like the
And then
look
jog
of
on the beach.
Yeah,
Yes.
jogging on the beach.
Making Columbo in his dress shoes run on the beach with him.
By the way, I'm glad you brought that. If this was a Kojak episode, he'd have just pimp slapped him within 10 minutes, and the episode would be done.
He like, I'm onto you, you creep.
But Columbo's got to play the other route. He's going to be like impressed and be like, "Oh my God, Milo, you're so good."
And also the Columbo thing of humming or whistling "This Old Man" as he's going to confront the killer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's either in the score or he's whistling it or he's humming it. There's some variation of "This Old Man." I don't know exactly where it comes from, but I think that was a Peter Falk choice.
I'm pretty sure it was. He just likes them. He took the character, made it his own. So, like you said, we're on the beach. Conrad's getting a shot of him just fucking working the shit out. He's got his great tan. He's got that gold ankh. He's got these tiny little trunks on to show off his legs and making him look taller.
He's on his tippy toes.
He is on his tippy toes, and he makes sure that the camera shot doesn't show that his heels are off the ground.
Right.
So he is towering over Columbo, and he's like, well, we can't do this forced perspective forever. Let me do some push-ups. And so Columbo's trying to figure out how to talk to him. And this is a good little scene here, too, where Columbo's trying to get down in a Slav squat, but he can't do it because Columbo is completely out of shape. All that chili and rare steaks.
And cigars,
Yeah. Those things will kill you.
They'll kill you, all right.
Yep.
So it's like, what do you think about Gene ordering? You said he's a madman when it comes to exercise all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Would he really order a gigantic Chinese buffet and eat that before he worked out? You get cramps doing that.
Right. And, he's like, no, that doesn't make any sense at all. And you said that he was following your program. And in your program, you say not to work out, 30 minutes after you eat because of the cramping. It's like, well, he was trying to just get things done. Gene had a way. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Columbo does the thing of complimenting him. His book is great, and you know what you're doing, and then of course Milo kind of counters by doing what a lot of the killers do in this is go off on a tangent, and in this case runs away from Columbo and says, "Keep up."
Yeah. Filibuster, and then just, hey, I would love to answer your questions, but I got to go for a run. Why don't you ask me questions while I'm running?
And then they run up to his house. This is the most insecure man scene I've ever seen.
Uncomfortable watching this scene.
Right.
It is really cringy.
Every one of his sports cars don't have a muffler, so they can hear him coming down the road.
That's right. If he was living in modern times, he'd have an F-450.
And he's sitting on a phone book in his muscle car. And so he leaps into a pool, swims across it, starts hitting the speed bag.
Oh my God!
Flexing like furiously flexing those pecs and those biceps.
Even when he got the jump rope, he stood on it first so we could really pull it up and flex hard. Yeah, he's feeling it. And Columbo getting the sand out of his shoes, trying to catch his breath.
That's the best when he's trying to talk to Milo and he's putting his shoes behind his back to dump sand in the pool area.
And he's asking him questions while he's having issues with his shoelace. His shoelace broke.
Yeah.
And he's like,
shoelaces?
That won't come into play later on. Right.
Right.
And so he's like, and Milo's like, you need some shoelaces? I can give you some. No, that's okay.
No, sir. I just wanted to ask you about your colleague, Buddy. I've gone ahead and done some research on Buddy, and it seems that he's got a pretty checkered past. And of course, in his pants. Oh yeah, he's got a checkered pants. Yeah.
Checkered, get it?
Give it with the Velcro over here. So he does have a checkered past, and Milo's just like, so we did a little bit of time. It's no big deal. He's still a good guy. And he's like, sir. He embezzled $1 million. He frauded 1,000 different people. He's in league with what was the Jackie Madoff? Was that a guy?
Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Yeah. So he's he's like, I was happy to give Buddy a break. Buddy is as honest as I am. And I'm like, yeah, and you rooted for Lance Armstrong. Up yours.
Right. He's like, have you heard of a man named Ponzi? He worked with him. All right.
Yeah.
Lance Armstrong
Bob
did drugs for America.
Well, and eventually what happens with certain killers is that he finally just looks at Columbo and goes, why are you here? And that's kind of the verbal brushback, and Columbo's ready to defend.
And we always get this in every single episode. We get the perp finally being like, you're asking me a lot of questions. You shouldn't be. And they turn from being friendly, I'm just talking to the cops, no big deal, to, what are you doing here? Yeah. And so...
And then he brings him over to because Columbo brings up the scuff marks, and he tries to do another distraction by opening up his giant ass antique dresser with mirrors and enough. It was like a Judy Garland pill factory. His health bar.
Right. He's like, yeah, and you're right. It was probably around 11:30, 12. So you've had lunch today yet, Columbo?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And he gets out the juice, and Columbo takes like, this is some strange orange juice. Carrot juice. And he's like, and here's your lunch, Columbo. Hands him like 6 pills.
Yeah.
Some Quaaludes.
It's like,
some
you gotta,
poppers. You get it all.
You gotta eat along with me. And he's like, oh yeah. He just slams all the pills, slams the carrot juice. He's like, it's good for you.
Actually, no, he doesn't, because there's a joke. He sets him aside.
Yeah, Columbo sets him aside.
Yeah.
I was saying, Milo fucking chugs them all. Oh, but yeah, it's perfect because he brings up the scuff mark, but he's doing it in that aloof way where he's like, I don't know, these scuff marks, my superiors, they're just telling me I got to look into them. No big deal. Furniture. So he's even saying, my uncle had a piece of furniture just like this, always bringing his family for the misdirect again.
That's right.
So Milo, of course, is going to play dumb because now, he's... Columbo had further explained the scuff marks. Just doesn't make sense. Brown scuffs,
Yeah,
he had
brown shoes.
But the brown shoes were in the locker. How did the scuffs get on there? And
was like, how did the scuffs get on there? Do you think there was a struggle?
Yeah. Oh, no, there couldn't have been a struggle. That doesn't make any sense, Columbo.
And then Milo's like, but wait, I remember him. Didn't he have his gym clothes on?
Yeah.
With his sneakers? There's no way he could have left scuff marks.
Right.
And I think Columbo's looking at Milo going, I'm going to bring up the shoelaces in about 40 minutes, you asshole.
So he's like, Milo gets a call.
Yeah. So Columbo he also does this thing all the time where he gives him his line of reasoning. I mean, why the scuff marks? Was he running? Was he accosted? And that's where Milo just substituted with, he's in his gym clothes. Doesn't make sense. But yeah, Milo gets his call.
And Columbo notices that one of the lights on it is out.
Always noticing these things.
So he files that away in his brain, and he heads over to this Lacey character's former job.
Right, and this is where we get one of your favorite comedic bits of the episode.
I loved it because I just turned my brain off. I didn't have to write any notes because this was such a waste of time scene.
Yep, filler.
It does go on a bit, but there's two parts of the scene I actually kind of like.
Oh no, I like
the beginning where he walks in with his cigar not lit.
Yep.
And the guy's like, excuse me?
Yep.
You're gonna have to put that out. It's like, it's not lit. Company policy, no cigars. So he puts it in the little ashtray next to the elevator, goes up to the desk. There's some snooty broad working there.
Yeah.
Who needs a cherry bikini? Badly, because it'll loosen her up.
Really?
That's the kind of office you would run, Matt? Everybody in cherry bikinis?
Wouldn't you?
We got a regular Matt Hefner here, people. When
are
you going to have
I'm not that old and skeevy.
when are you going to have a roller boogie pajama party?
Yeah.
White meat and Waylon Flowers.
Yeah.
I know. Please never do Star 80. Never do Star 80.
Oh.
So the whole thing is Columbo is trying to talk to her, and she's being very just like responsive.
Polite to a point.
Yeah, right. So she's just responding with one-word answers.
She's one of these millennials, Griff. She believes computers are the answer to everything.
That's right.
Columbo is all about human contact.
Right. Columbo's all about talking, all about, getting friendly with people, talking about his family for some reason. And she's just like, yep, I'll get that for you, and puts the automated typewriter on it.
The slowest printer, even by 70 standards.
Yeah.
And this scene...
I think if Kojak confronted her, she would clutch her pearls and say, well, I'd never.
Right. She would be like, take me to bed. He's like,
Yeah.
later,
Have
baby.
you had lunch today?
And they pulls out some pills.
And then
That's right.
undresses, and she's
So
in a
we
cherry
get
bikini.
the old 1970s print. It's like taking forever. It's basically printing out Lacey's Wikipedia page. It's got everything.
It's everything.
You know?
And I mean, it's a good scene. I like
It's
that.
a
place.
very scene about the times we live in where it's very intrusive on his life, his whole life story.
Yeah.
Why does his business need to know that he paid for 3 abortions?
It's
It doesn't matter.
Way too much information. They got his favorite lunch spots in there. They got his
Correct.
spouses in there. He's got his estranged wife from the other side of the country. Like, way a lot. And Columbo and the audience were watching this for like 8 minutes as this thing's printing out. Columbo's getting frustrated. He's walking, ma'am, I just need, you can wait. It's on the sheet. And he's looking at the sheet, and we're
The
zooming in.
computer doesn't lie.
Yeah. He's like, I just need a phone number. And she's like, no. You just wait. So he finally gets it. And he walks over to the phone.
And it was like literally like 2 pages, but it took like 8 minutes to print this shit out. And it was like double spaced on top of it.
And he calls up the number. And we hear Lacey on the other side. Hello, this is Louis Lacey. And Columbo just starts
With
talking.
an L-E.
With an L-E. And he just starts talking at him. And then he keeps talking. Louis Lacey does. It's a recording.
Wah, wah.
So just store that in your brain recorder.
Right. So he goes to leave and he grabs that cigar. And this was probably cost $1.
Yeah.
You know?
Walks into... Oh, go ahead.
No, you're not gonna let that cigar go to waste. Screw
Yeah.
that
Right.
security guy.
He didn't even light it yet. It's a brand new cigar. And we know Columbo's true to the hobo chic attitude. He's a dumpster diver.
That's
so
right.
He has no problem.
He has no problem grabbing shit out of the trash.
Yeah. He picks up some blotted up bubble gum, puts
Yeah.
that in his mouth.
For some reason, he walks into the elevator. Doors are about to close. He stops them, walks out, looks around, and then walks back in.
Well, no, they did the gag where he went in the elevator and it closed and it opened and he thought it was still on the same floor, so he thought he was on another floor.
Yeah. Oh.
That was the gag.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't
Yeah.
understand that. I thought it was some huge fucking meanie. You're telling me he just slipped his mind for a second?
So now Ruth is on her 50th highball of the day.
Still playing piano.
Right.
And she gets a visit from Louis Lacey.
Just so happens.
Or as I wrote down, Mo Rocca's dad.
I was getting Doc from Love Boat
good.
vibe off the guy
That's
myself.
pretty good too. Yeah, 70s glasses wearing that guy.
Yeah, and he was like, "I'm so happy. I got terminated from my job. I was so glad your husband gave me this job, looking into these finances that he's doing." And I came up with some interesting things. I know something's going on, but I can't pinpoint what it is. But there's some shady business going on.
I know Gene was telling me all about some kind of overseas companies. You wouldn't happen to have any more information on that? Anything? Oh no, me and Gene, we've been separated for too long. I don't quite know. Well, I feel really guilty about continuing this search because you're paying me and I got nothing. Well, I'm gonna keep paying you. Just keep looking into the overseas stuff. See if you can find anything. And she leaves him with all of her notes.
Yes. Now Columbo, he's got to talk with Buddy. He's got another lead. And he's asking him about where were you at the time of this party.
Right. Cop work, establishing the timeline when Gene got killed. And this is the guy who was being really snooty with Columbo. And so we get to see the other side of Columbo.
Where he sets him straight.
Yeah, where he's just stern. He's not joyous. He's not, telling about his family. He's not taking calls from his wife. The two of them are just very stern with each other. And Bud isn't happy to be talking with them. Establishes his timeline. I was with this broad. Her name is such and such. It's German. And we went to Milo's place at, 6:45 or whatever. And that's where we are.
We were watching some German scat porn, and
You wouldn't be into it. I can tell you're not into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, well, you got me." Just one more thing. Did you have any stock in Janus Industries?
A little bit.
Do you know a man by
Shareholder.
Yeah.
Do you know a man by the name of Louis Lacey?
No, never heard of him.
So he
Why am I
drives
wasting
off.
my time with these foolish questions.
So Columbo goes back to the main office buildings of Janus Industries to talk with Jess, and she's at her desk. And he's like, wow, I couldn't help but notice that gigantic fucking recording system you have here.
Right. Just so happened a call came in, and so he notices her open the drawer, and he just does a Columbo lean over the desk and looking down at it. It's good. He's only got one eye, so it makes sense he'd have to look close.
Right. And he's like, it's his right eye, right? That's glass eye?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I believe so.
And so he's like, can you play that for me? I'd like to hear what this is. And then she plays a call that she just took, and lo and behold, it's Ruth.
Yeah.
And he's just like...
she's trying to get a hold of Gene, wants to know where he's at. She needs to have a conversation with him. And Columbo's listening to the tape, and he's just like, wow. Does she always sound like my sister-in-law? She always a little smashed?
It's like, yeah. Well, are you going to mention what the issue you had with Ruth's scenes?
Oh, God, the fucking ice cubes? Yeah, you cut me off before. Fucking Foley work in this movie. Every time we see Ruth, like we said, she is going high ball all day. And she fills that glass with ice cubes, apparently. And it sounds like she's sloshing them around on a fucking shaker, like a cocktail shaker.
Ruth scene, you should put some
Or a maraca.
And so every fucking scene is just chink, 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 chink. And when she sets the glass down, it sounds like a fucking hurricane hit the table or something. Just the table. It was so frustrating.
Ruth wants to rock you like a hurricane.
That was probably the cocktail she was drinking. I call this a Ruth you like a hurricane.
No, she was drinking the scorpions, is what it was.
There we go.
So now Columbo asks Jess about the evening, where she was doing, and when Gene called, and when Milo arrived home, and where he took the call, all the shit that you would if you were a cop.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's asking, well, when Gene took the call, like, how did he respond to you answering the phone? Like normal. So you always answer the phone at Milo's house? Gene wasn't surprised by that? And yeah, she's taken back by that. She's like, well, no, he wasn't very surprised about it at all.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to answer the phone. I'm just his side bitch, I'm not allowed.
But Columbo likes her, so he's going to let her off easy, a little.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, he knows to tighten the screws on her because it's going to squeeze out some answers later. And
That's
so
right.
he follows up with, so how many times have you been at Janice's? She's like, well, that was the first time. And she stayed overnight.
Yeah.
And she didn't leave it took her a while to get out of that house. So, interesting. And Columbo files up, and she's beside herself. She's like on that drug, the truth-telling drug. So now she's just answering all of his questions. Milo has two phone lines in his house, doesn't he? That's right. Do you know what line the phone number came in on? Because he has an 01 number and he has an 02 number. She's like, I just don't know. And Columbo's like, all right, ma'am, I can see that. I'll let myself out. And then she goes, it was the 02 number.
Did the light go off? And she's like, as a matter of fact, it didn't.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Cut to seafood restaurant. It's the healthiest food you could have. Tons of mercury.
Good
for you.
Well, not back in the 70s, right?
Oh, yeah, it's 70s.
Except for the wine, which has empty calories.
Right. And she's having, of course, a Ruth on the rocks.
And,
Yeah.
and is Ruth, she's basically taking the role of Jean now and wanting to know what's going on. Because she owns the
Yeah, she is.
jail.
Apparently it was in her name afterwards. So now she's running Jean's health spa.
Right.
And of course, Milo's like, well, you don't want to bother yourself with that. And she's like, well, I'll get an accountant and maybe he'll look into the books and, just get this all sorted out for me. And I kind of like the idea of being a single, independent entrepreneur woman.
And it's like, this is the 70s. You're a woman. You can't even get a credit card on your own.
Look at you. You're on your 18th Ruth on the Rocks today.
I'll buy it for you for pennies on the dollar.
Stress isn't good for you, Ruth. Yeah,
And then he's just like, calm down, baby, calm down. Here, have another Ruth on the Rocks. He's making it himself.
Right. Have another cigarette. That'll help your complexion.
maybe you need to come over to my place and relax. I can give you a full body massage.
Yeah, he grabs
Before that, she says that she was going to run it herself and get her own accountant, and Milo wouldn't like that. And then, yeah, he does the bullshit about maintaining quality and eventually ask her to his place.
And I got to say, all right, he might be a murderer, he might be an asshole, but he's an attractive man.
Yeah.
And her husband was not an attractive man.
Yeah.
On the Sweetson scale, 0.
Right.
Robert Conrad, at least a 7 or 8.
He's at least a 7 or 8.
And
and
she hasn't been with a man in months because they've been estranged.
Right.
That's right.
And so I would take it, Ruth.
Apparently those roots on the rocks are killing her sex drive because she is not seeing the beach.
Is there a thing such as whiskey vagina? Can you have that?
Yeah.
Whiskey puss?
Yeah. Whiskey puss. I believe that's the medical term for it.
I thought that was the Western snuff film they were watching.
Yes.
So she does put the screws to him, and that's why he tries to persuade her with the sex, is because she's saying that Gene was on to you.
Cocksmog.
Cocksmog.
That's what he's going for.
Yeah. And so she's pushing on it. She's like green suppliers. And she starts naming off some of the other companies that were under his name that he was fixing prices on. And he's like, look, what Gene knew and what Gene can prove were two very different things.
Right.
And she's like, are you threatening me? He's like, I ain't saying anything like that. So she walks out.
She does the wine toss to the face.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And then
that's a common theme today. We had somebody get a drink in their face.
That's right. I was confusing it for that for a second there. But in this scene, the hot waitress, I should say, and Conrad looks up with her with those beautiful blues. She's like, "Did you see my onk? Do you want?"
He just took a Viagra. He's not wasting that pill. Those are like $2 a piece.
You have to wait for that shit to kick in too.
I got to use his erection on somebody.
Right, exactly. He's like, I wasn't sure if it was gonna work. It's definitely working. I see.
I mean, I don't need it. I just take it just to see what it's like.
Yeah, I just like people to ride it for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I can go 2 hours straight. Can you? You're
Waitress, can you move this table so I can stand up?
He would say that.
Would you like to measure it? I mean, he's just totally like, enough.
Well,
it's the
one
biggest
of his big companies is 5'5" Industries.
5.5 in industries.
From the ground up.
There you go. Call back. Next morning, Milo is back at his gym.
He's got Buddy there. Of course, they're going to meet up because Milo thinks that he's getting away with everything. He's trying to just kind of go about his business as usual. So he's like, you got to get Parker on the line. We're sealing that deal.
Parker from Pasadena?
Parker from Pasadena.
Wow.
Yeah,
he is
cocky.
Close it.
Yeah.
And Bud's like, whoa, wait. You're not going to believe this. That fucking Columbo guy's
We got a problem. Oh, we don't have any problems. No. We got a real sweaty problem.
And that sweaty problem is Columbo, who's...
It's the best.
There's no quality to this treadmill. It's literally a treadmill that's nothing to grab onto but a bungee cord that's holding Columbo in place.
It's an analog treadmill. It was foot pedals, and he had to have the extension cord on him because it can't just stop itself. It's going to keep going, you know.
Okay.
Kind of wish they had the belt. They used to have those vibrating machines with the giant belt. It looked like the basis of a championship belt, and have that around Columbo.
Yeah,
but they didn't have that.
Yeah, that was the state of the art quality of his workout thing. They had the big, what is it? You always see him in those old movies too. It's like a big steam box. You're like in a box, your neck is just sticking out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, medicine ball that you throw at each other.
Hey, the medicine ball is legit. I like the medicine ball.
And then you're like a sauna and a steam bath, so you can each other.
And
So Milo, of course, is coming over, and Columbo's telling him, "You changed my life, sir. Everything about me is different. I notice I've only been at it for 20 minutes, but my whole attitude towards life is completely positive now.
I've gave up the chili. I've given up the cigars.
Yep, all gone." And Milo's like, "Great, I have work to do."
Yeah. Right, so because they're at Gene's place, so he's like looking through Gene's files to find out what he knew or didn't know.
It was at Gene's place.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's looking at that, and Columbo just follows them into the office.
Right.
Yep.
And
he's got questions about the weight.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, they said it was 180 pounds. Not many people could. I mean, I know you could probably lift 250 pounds. I mean, you're a beast of a man.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I could, but a lot of people in this gym could lift that much weight. So what are you getting at, Columbo? No, nothing. I'm just saying.
It's just it's very strange. Gene took off his dress shoes without untying them.
And then Milo doesn't appreciate the impression that he knows more, and Columbo just goes, "Is that the impression I'm giving?" and apologizes.
Yeah. He always does a thing like when he knows when it's time to snare his trap, and when it isn't, he's always just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my superiors. They just have to have these loopholes tied off." So Columbo's like, "I'll excuse myself. Just one more thing. There is a pretty large window for you, isn't there? I mean, you left here at what was it, 6:00 when Jessica last saw him?
Yeah, something like that. So
you were last seen by Jessica at 6:00, and you traveled to Parker Auto." It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So then you didn't get home until 8:00. I think that was it. We got back to his house.
Well, he establishes I went there and it was closed.
He doesn't understand. Oh, yeah, he does establish that right there.
And he's like, oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah,
okay. And I just turned around and went back home.
Right. And so Columbo's like, okay. And Milo, of course, is getting aggressive with them. And so Columbo's like, I'm sorry, it's just the superiors. You get it. And
his hands are tied.
Right, hands are tied. It's superiors. I just got to close off, a couple of these loopholes and report back to them. These aren't even my questions. So then, he fills out the whole story. Parker's trying to buy, a franchise, so I have to do this business because, I'm a businessman. I got to do the business. And so Columbo's like, okay, I get it. I'm sorry. I'll get this squared off and everything. And so Columbo leaves, and Milo starts to exit, and then Columbo on the other side of the door is waiting and fucking blindsides him again.
Because that's what you do when you hang out in front of the guy's locker room, just waiting for some dude to come out into the hallway.
Right.
And it's just all like 80-year-old guys with, fat and naked.
Right.
Air blow drying their balls.
Yeah. Right. And so Columbo hits him with another just one more thing. Mrs. Stafford came down to headquarters today and was making some crazy accusations about how your business practices, and this Louis Lacey's got some kind of research about, some malpractice happening between your companies. And Milo, of course, is like, I have nothing to do with any of this. I don't know what you're talking about.
You can talk to my lawyer.
Yeah. That's the next step is when the killer says you have to talk to my attorney. The killer's up against the ropes.
Right. So Columbo gets a call that Mrs. Stafford is in the hospital.
Yeah.
So he goes to meet her. She's still drinking. It's crazy. She's got an IV of Ruth on the Rocks. You can hear the rattling of the ice cubes in that IV bag.
So loud. Yeah.
It drove Griff nuts.
It's like Hans Zimmer did the Foley work for this.
Yeah. And
I don't know why. Why did they give her a glass IV drip bag?
Because it's cool.
Ice can't rattle on plastic.
I don't know.
It's just classier that way.
It is just classier.
So the implication is that Milo poisoned her. Is that what we're supposed to think? Or she's just a drunk and just had like alcohol poisoning.
Right.
I think the drunk thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was talk of her taking some kind of pills, but I mean, if you're trying to fall asleep, as we learned Wednesday in our Raw Deal episode, just 2 bottles of champagne will put you right to sleep.
Right.
That's what Arnold tells us.
Yeah. And so he just leaves her.
Yeah, Columbo's just like, okay, you're fine, whatever. There's not a whole lot of information to get here, just that, there's possibly that she got poisoned. Who's got a lot of pills hanging around? Who's always offering people pills and drinks? And advice, yes. That'll kill you.
So he goes out in the waiting room. He notices Milo there. Of course, Milo probably ran there to figure out what Ruth knows and doesn't know.
There could have been a moment where he handed her the pills and drink and said, "This won't kill you." Get it? Because he's always telling people this will kill you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got that.
Okay, waiting room.
Yeah, it's great.
This is great. As we mentioned earlier, this is one of the few times that Columbo lets his dander just shows his true colors and complete disdain for this guy.
Well, somebody almost died, you know,
Right.
so yeah, he takes it seriously.
And he is not too kind, Columbo, to crocodile tears, because Milo shows up. Oh, is Mrs. Stafford okay?
It's like, why would you care?
What do you care? Like, ooh, that's a kick to the balls.
And he's like, well, I care about her. I like her.
Yeah. And Columbo just throws it all in his face. You know, Mr. Janice, I went down to Parker Auto, and they've been open every day for the last month until 9 p.m. Very interesting.
Well, I didn't see his car, so I figured he was gone for the day. So then I turned around. So he's got it covered.
And then he pulls out a cigar as an extra fuck you and asks the guy next to him for a light.
Right. And then Milo hits him back with, so I guess your fitness program's over. You know what, sir? It is over for now.
Yep.
And so
he's like, he calls Columbo a devious man, and his response is, that's what they tell me. You want to say that to somebody in real life.
Right. And he is devious. He is, yeah.
It's so good. And so, you know, Milo doesn't want to sit around to hear all this. And so he gets up and he's getting ready to leave. And he's like, you know, my alibi is airtight. You got nothing on me. So
tight as the shirt.
Right? So Milo takes off. And Columbo is getting ready to leave when he spots a mom tying her son's shoes.
Yeah. What does that have to do with anything?
So we follow Milo back to his office, and he gets a call, and it's Gene.
What? But Gene's dead. How can that be?
He immediately recognizes the ruse and heads out to Jessica's desk, where there's Columbo.
Just chilling out with that gigantic tape deck with the phone receiver up against it.
Could you imagine? Columbo would have had Watergate figured out very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
He'd break G. Gordon Liddy like nothing.
Right.
Right.
And so Columbo is just full on like, yeah, sir, I can tamper with these tapes. He's like, no,
I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Right.
You know why?
He's like, no, you absolutely can't. You need to have a warrant right here. Fucking, he just dropped the
Can
Trump
you do
card
whatever
on him.
you want if you have a warrant? I thought it was just you could search
the fact
it.
that he has the warrant ready, it's kind of like when a Karen goes up to a manager and says, I want to speak to the manager, and you can go, I am the manager.
Ooh, yeah. That's
We don't
one.
call them Karens on this show. We call them Helens.
They're Helens. Yeah.
Because
I'm
that's
sorry. When
YouTube
Helen
bitch.
comes up to a manager,
It's okay.
yeah.
It's a new one. We haven't
Yes.
shrimped it into your brain yet.
Yes.
Sorry, you have a what?
Shrimped it into your brain.
Ugh, leave my brains out of it.
If you think that's a weird fetish, wait till you hear Raw Deal. We got a whole
Can't
new
wait.
one.
Yep, we've discovered a whole new one. We had to go into the This Is My Life A&E bio documentaries.
Oh, God. Okay.
All right, so we're in the home stretch. This is where
Best
he
part of
breaks
the
the
show.
guy finally.
Yeah, best part of the show.
Kojak is not Kojak. I'm sorry, Columbo.
Yeah.
I got Kojak on the brain. Sorry.
Kojak's sitting on Milo's shoulders, just bitch slapping him for an hour and a half.
I just want to announce this is my last show with Griff. I'm going to do a show called Talk and Telly where I'm just going to chronologically go through all Kojak.
I still get to produce it and edit it and
Yes,
set it out.
you have to do all the grunt work.
And
True.
Murray said he wants to cut in lots of audio, and he's not going
Right,
to write
and
down
I need
where.
somebody to talk to because I need to react off somebody. So, and I need to look better against somebody. So,
Right.
Griff, you're in.
I'm still in?
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Matt, do you
Columbo
wanna-
props his feet up on the desk and he's ready to break him down.
Oh, right. And he pulls out those tiny little scissors, and he's like, sir, it was genius what you did here. You spliced the tape. He's like,
Oh, wait,
bullshit."
those tiny little scissors fit Milo's hands.
Of course they do.
Trump-like hands.
Trump-like.
That's right.
He actually wears clothes from the child's area.
He's got all the best clothes and scissors and hands. Yeah.
Milo, of course, did try to say anyone could use those scissors, and Columbo tries to put his fingers in them. He's like, no, sir. If the scissors fit, you must have quit.
Wow. Very good.
So Columbo, of course, is having this moment of telling him how he did it. And, he brings up, well, you went there at night because, there wasn't an alarm tripped or anything. You had a key to Mr. Gene's office and all that. So you let yourself in. You accosted him in the ping pong championship room. You dragged him out. You did this. You did that. And Milo's just like, you can't prove any of this. And he's like, oh, you're right. How do I make this shoe fit?
Whips out the sworn statement.
Doesn't he show him the shoe first? Yeah, he shows him the shoe first. And he starts going through this whole fucking charade of the shoes. And Murray got invested in this.
Yes. I was like, I'm going to check if what he's saying is true. So I tied my own shoe, and he's fucking right.
This is a Gruda film of shoelace tying.
Right.
Yeah.
If you are right-handed, you always put the loop on the big toe side.
Yeah.
And man, that segment could be shown to, like preschool children at class as far as how to tie your shoes. My goodness.
And Columbo definitely, Peter Falk has that soothing voice. I think it would work well for children. They probably would learn how to tie a shoe from Peter Falk here. And
How to nail a killer.
right, and he's showing the pictures of his feet at the time, and he's showing his own shoe, and he's going through the whole fucking rigmarole. It's, again, like the printing out Louis Lacey's information, it takes time. They're really slowly going through it, but they're really going through it.
And hits it with now here's the interesting point, and then points out your hand and the shoe and the relation to that.
Yeah. It's so good.
So it basically reveals that the way that Gene's shoes were tied could only have been tied by someone tying them for him.
Right, who definitely killed him and
Right.
put him in the shoes.
Right.
His brown shoes were tied clearly by Gene because they're on the dominant toe or the big toe side, as he explained it. But his sneakers or trainers or tennis shoes, the loop was on the tiny toe.
Right.
And so again, Milo's just like, anybody could have done that. And he's like, no, sir. By your own admission, that's where you're wrong. You are the only person who knew that Mr. Stafford was in his sneakers.
Yep. How do you know if he was in his gym clothes if you didn't change the clothes? And as soon as he says that, in the score, there's like a doorbell, like a just goes off. It's a perfect alibi that's gonna hang you.
And of course, that's when Columbo hits him with the second trump card because he pulls out, like you mentioned, he pulls out the sworn testimony that Milo had, where he admits, that was his own statement 2 days ago.
Yep.
So,
and guys, to jump on your thing. As soon as that moment happens, as soon as the killer knows they're fucked, credits. No, let off in cuffs to the police, and nobody's in a towel with a blanket over them in the ambulance. Just unscrewed. Credits end. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of the perpetrators in Columbo, they just go, "You are so smart," and just go, in handcuffs. Like we said, there's some of the perpetrators that Columbo does get along with and everything is kind of just upset, that he has to arrest them and everything. But then there's the ones like this where you don't even get a heated moment. You just go.
No, and I think they're slightly smarter. And this is not a slight on Telly Savalas, but I think the Kojak killers would try to escape, and that's futile. It's an exercise in fatality.
Yeah.
And then he'd go, Crocker, get him. And then Crocker would run and grab him, hold him, and Kojak to slap the shit out of him.
Just
for
drop
30 minutes and then drag him away again.
Drop his styrofoam cups on him. Pick that up, you piece of trash.
And that's his nephew he's talking about.
The perp would try to pick it up. No, nephew. Get over here. Pick that up.
Wow. That was some episode, guys. Want to thank you, Matt, for coming on. I feel like you're like the brother we never had now because we just know your soul through this episode of Columbo.
Yeah,
I apologize if this is the longest Tippy-Tap in history.
But... No. There's been longer.
No. There are. Okay, all right. I don't feel so bad now.
I think Murder, She Wrote went longer. I don't know.
Murder, She Wrote was 2 hours.
Okay.
And, of course, we have the possible upcoming crossover episode.
That's going to be 5 hours.
That's going to be at least 9 hours. We're going to have to stick...
Magnum meets Murder, She Wrote. Yeah.
That's going to be one where we're going to have to stick to a strict itinerary.
We won't. We won't.
It's a lot of tiny shorts, dude.
But Matt, thanks for being a part of
Yes.
Cop in a Feel. We
Thank
love
you.
to get to know our guests better, and I think our listeners do as well. Thank you for being just a great fan of the show, too. We appreciate it.
Guys, I appreciate what you do and appreciate you having me on. And, adiosi, Bella Lugosi.
Oh, my God.
After a while,
He's doing John
I know. What did
DeHart,
he
yeah.
say after it? Or did
know.
he not? Did he not get
Yeah.
a response back on it?
Yeah, what can you come back from that? That's
That's
a killer
right.
walk-away line.
That is true.
Should have ended with that
Shoulda
instead of
ended
doing
it.
this bullshit we're doing right now.
This bullshit?
Yeah.
How about this bullshit? I'm listening.
Exhibition in futility. That's what happened.
Murphy is becoming
Plug
a
in my
pest.
eye.